Welcome to Wellington's Wide Zone, a podcast dedicated to curate weekly sports conversations, be a constant sports hub for content and interview game changers within the community and the world. The wisest zone in America, Wellington's Wide Zone, back with another episode. A lot of topics to get into, but before I get into that, make sure you like, subscribe, share. Give us 5 stars. If you give us 4 stars, if you give me 4 stars, Wellington's Wide Zone, this is me, it's my show. If you give me 4 stars, I am going to be inclined to think that you're just not a fan. And I want the fans. I want you guys to be locked in to what's going on in Wellington's Y Zone. You can follow me, Wellington Burns, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I mean, X, I should say X, not Twitter. Elon Musk will get mad at me. Obviously, I do the Wellington's Y Zone videos. I do about 3 to 4 each week. Different takes, different things I'm giving out on, and you can agree with it, you can disagree with it. I know I got Eagles haters that are just like chomping at the bit. Just not a fan of the tush push take that me and Adam had a couple a couple weeks ago, but it's to be expected. I wanted to get into, obviously this was a packed week 4, a lot of really good games. The first one, Green Bay Dallas ends in a tie. Did not expect that, 40-40. It's the second highest scoring tie in pro football history behind the Raiders 43 to 43 draw with the Boston Patriots in the AFL. Also the fifth tie with both teams scoring in OT. And it was an interesting game because Dak had one of the most impressive performances I think he's had in like a minute. There's kind of like a reminder game where Dak is just like he's able to like show I'm still that guy. I can put up MVP numbers when I need to. And he was able to do that. And the reception afterwards was more feeling of Green Bay wasn't um felt more disappointed than Dallas was. Dallas was like, oh, we're encouraged that we're able to like, not lose and get a tie and not get embarrassed. But with Green Bay, it was kind of like it shouldn't have even gotten to this point. There was no reason it should have gotten to this type of outcome. So I'd say the one thing with Jordan Love is that I don't feel as though he's a great quarterback. I think he's a really good quarterback, but I don't view him as a great quarterback. I think there are question marks around him regarding turnovers, and that's where I'm kind of at with him. I feel as though the turnover issue is something that um, really makes me pause and kind of question, is this actually the guy who can take them over the hump? This year particularly. Not saying that he can't do it, but a lot of people are saying since they got Micah Parsons, okay, this is going to be the guy. This is going to be the year, sixth year for Jordan Love. It was the sixth year for Aaron Rodgers. It was the sixth year for Brett Favre. It just has to be 666. It's. I mean, I can't say six. I can't say that. I cannot say that. I might have to edit that out. Like, I can't do that. But it's just like it's fascinating because I feel as though Jordan Love is like I said, extremely talented, but there's just something missing to me in terms of that X factor that can take them just catapult them even further. So it's those are kind of my takeaways on that game. Getting to the early game in Dublin, Pittsburgh, Minnesota. Pittsburgh was able to win 24-21, and they're off to a 3-1 start. Carson Wentz made his consecutive start for the injured JJ McCarthy. He was 30 for 46, 350 yards, also 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Rodgers was 18 for 22 for 200 yards, touchdown to Metcalf, who had 5 catches for 126 yards. And I'll say with the Steelers, they're not flashy, they're not super entertaining in the traditional sense, but I mean they get the job done. They get the job done, and um, I'm going to get to Baltimore obviously, but in that division, they have a shot to win it. They can win it. The Bengals, they're decimated. We know what's going on with the Ravens, their injuries. The Browns are still just trying to figure out things and get a semblance of who they want to be, their team identity at quarterback. So the Steelers are in a great driver's seat position, and I think that this is where you take advantage of it. Once you have like all these things kind of breaking for you, like quarterback's injured, it's just kind of breaking for them in the right spot where they can actually take advantage of this and maybe even go further than we expected them to. At least maybe not in the postseason sense, but maybe like get a higher seed, in the conference, but maybe get a 2 seed, maybe get a 3 seed. So I definitely think that bodes well for them going forward. Um, Next team I wanted to get to was Philadelphia, Tampa Bay. Philly's able to win 31-25. Saquon Barkley scored on the fake tush push. Jalen Hurts threw one of his two touchdown passes on another variation of that play. Um, and I think it was too little, too late for Tampa Bay. This was kind of one of those games where they rallied and they had a shot to like possibly win the game, but the late defensive stop by the Eagles, I think it was after a turnover from Baker Mayfield, just closes the deal for them. So I still like Tampa Bay, um, and they're still my Super Bowl pick to make it there. But also, when we look at Philadelphia, they're one of the least like impressive 4-0 teams I've seen like for so long. They like, and again, it's just it's nothing about it that I'm like, oh man, like they're just these bulldozer juggernauts. And I know I sound like I'm hating, but they're winning these games that in a sense that they shouldn't. And it almost kind of reminds me of Kansas City last year. Kansas City was going like 10-0 and winning all these games and at 15-2, and the record looks great, but as a team, you could see like they were winning games that they kind of should have lost. And then they get the blowout loss in the Super Bowl. So I'm not saying that's what's happening with Philadelphia because obviously 4-0 is better than 2-2. It's better than 1-3. You want to be at 4-0. Win games. That's the objective. But I'm just saying the way they're winning these games, I'm like, is this just how it's gonna be week after week? And maybe this is just the formula that they do. Win close games. The quarterback is going to make obviously smart decisions because Jalen Hurts is a very smart quarterback and is going to make high level plays. And you got Saquon Barkley, who's just a beast. So I'm not taking away, even though it sounds like I'm taking away a lot from Philadelphia. But my thing is more so, it just looks as though they're on like the fringes. They're kind of like just on the edge, and it doesn't look dominant. It looks like they're getting by with these wins. They're 4-0. It looks good on paper. They're 4-0. They're undefeated, but they're just getting by. And that's what I'm wondering if that's what's going to continue to be the case going ahead. Obviously, the big game, the one that everybody was looking forward to, Baltimore, Kansas City. Kansas City wins 37-20. And Patrick Mahomes throws for 270 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a turn, and really just a clinical performance in every sense of the word. Got Xavier Worthy returned from a shoulder injury to catch 5 passes for 83 yards. And they looked like I'm gonna be like fully transparent when I say this. I was kind of stunned when I woke up from my Sunday nap and I see and I see 37 points. I was kind of like, wait, what? Like I was just knocked out, and I catch the score like when I wake up, 37-20, Chiefs win. I was like, am I like transported back to 2019 or like 2020? Like what is going on? But yeah, like when they do this, and this is what I'll say about Kansas City. Um, Everything is shaping up to be another like really scary offensive year for them from the earlier years. And this is kind of what I was expecting when I talked about this like before the season started, that I thought like they could get back to that like that deep ball threat, which they have in Worthy, get Marquise Brown, when Rashee Rice comes back in a couple of weeks. That's what I am kind of envisioning. I don't want to put too many expectations, but I wouldn't be shocked if they like get in like that 30 plus range. And again, if you want to play devil's advocate, you could say, okay, Baltimore's defense, not good. Probably one of the worst defenses in the league. Then the Giants, it's we're not that impressed. I think they're getting slowly, incrementally better week by week, and by the time they get Rice back in week 7, they're gonna be a problem. they're going to be a serious problem. So I'm full on saying watch out for the Chiefs. Watch out for the Chiefs. I think they're going to be very scary when they get back those guys Rice and Marquise Brown. So watch out for the Chiefs because they got Jacksonville Monday night. That should be a good test to see how things look for them. And then they're just one game behind the Chargers now, who lost to the Giants. And let's talk about Mr. Jaxson Dart. Dart time, start Dart. Because look, I was telling my barber this earlier today that you need like energy and a buzz in the city of New York for that city and for that franchise when it comes to just the quarterback play that they've had in the last 7 to 8 years. It just hasn't been good. It hasn't been good. You had Daniel Jones, and then Russell Wilson went 0-3. So I fully believe that this team is just really needed Jaxson Dart to step in. They really need Dart to step in, and you could tell like how much they were enjoying it, like just with Brian Dable like giving him that like Steve Nash to Kevin Durant hug, like when when Kevin Durant had that like incredible performance. I think it was in Game 5 against the Bucks of the Eastern Conference semis. I'm trying to think of what I think it was the Eastern Conference semis, and he just kind of like saved that game for them. And he's just like, man, you saved my job. Like, like man, go KD. Love you, man. But yeah, it almost felt similar to that with Brian Dable, who doesn't really show much emotion, looking at Jaxson Dart and just affirming him in that way. And I like what I saw from him. He had an efficient performance, 13 of 20, 111 yards, one touchdown. And I think like it's cool to see because, you know, there's obviously Malik Neighbors being out for the season now. That's the downside of it. You have a great upside in Jaxson Dart, and then back right back to that news. You get devastating news and Malik Neighbors being out. And I mean, that's just a tough blow when you have a receiver like that out. So yeah, Jaxson Dart, start Dart. I'd been saying it, and people said I was a lunatic, but hey, here we go. So start Dart. We're gonna take a quick break, and I'll be right back.